Picture a quiet room. Two people sit across from each other. Neither speaks. Yet the air feels charged, like a storm waiting to break. One is an INFJ, the other an INTJ. Both carry inner worlds like vast labyrinths, worlds they rarely reveal. But what happens when they decide to unlock those doors? It's never casual. It's a silent earthquake. And today, we'll discover why. Imagine an INFJ in a team meeting. The room is boiling, voices clash, ideas collide, no one is really listening. The INFJ stays silent, watching, connecting, catching the tensions under the surface. Then, suddenly, they speak. Just 2 sentences. The noise stops. They don't add another opinion. They expose exactly what everyone else was avoiding, as if they had found the hidden crack that was about to bring down the whole structure of ideas. Now picture an INTJ with a close friend. They're not known for grand emotional displays. Even with someone they trust, much remains unsaid. But then comes a rare moment. Maybe after a long silence, maybe in the calm after a storm. And suddenly, the walls lower. Not with a flood of words, but with a handful of sentences. Clear, precise, stripped of anything unnecessary. And to the one listening, those words feel heavier than hours of conversation. Moments like these aren't everyday events. But when they happen, they stay. Which leads to the question, why do INFJs and INTJs open up so rarely? They don't open up quickly, they notice, they wait. They decide if the moment is safe enough to step forward. When they do share, it isn't casual. It comes in fragments, pieces of something larger, and not given to just anyone, only to those who've proven over time consistency and sincerity. Not every INFJ or INTJ opens up in the same way, but many share a common experience. For the INFJ, opening up means revealing connections, how past patterns, present signals, and future possibilities weave into a larger meaning. For the INTJ, it's disclosing the hidden structure, the internal framework that shapes their choices and holds their world in place. And yet, both types carry the same awareness. Every time they open up, they risk something. Because for them, vulnerability isn't a gesture, it's a threshold, a step into the unknown. So, what does that step reveal? To understand why these moments matter so much, we need to look beneath the surface. Because what feels like a few quiet words on the outside is powered by a whole inner system. And for INFJs, that system begins here. It begins with introverted intuition, NI, an inner lens that never stops linking fragments into patterns. An INFJ doesn't just drop an opinion into the room. They reveal the thread that ties scattered pieces together. Picture a team that keeps stumbling. Everyone is blaming tasks, deadlines, or communication. The INFJ stays quiet until suddenly they say, "We're not missing a task, we're misaligned in purpose." And in that moment, the noise stops, because they've named what everyone else only sensed without clarity. Next comes extroverted feeling, FE, their bridge into others. When INFJs open up emotionally, they don't simply express, they attune. They pick up the unspoken signals, the emotional undercurrents, and respond in ways that make people feel seen. Sometimes it feels like a relief, finally being met on the same wavelength without having to translate yourself. But other times, it cuts deep. Because when that kind of attunement is dismissed, the INFJ is left exposed, as if their offering has been dropped into silence. Behind that, there is introverted thinking, TI, their inner analyst. Quiet, critical, always testing the coherence of what they perceive. But because NI works in leaps and symbols rather than step-by-step logic, INFJs often struggle to explain their insights with precision. That's why their truths may come in fragments, half-formed but charged. It's hard to explain, but something here doesn't feel aligned. And finally, extroverted sensing, SE, their most fragile function. When INFJs open up, they're pulled into the immediacy of the moment. Sights sharper, reactions faster, emotions rawer than they're used to. For many, that sudden immersion in the unfiltered now feels overwhelming, like standing too close to a fire they usually observe from a distance. For INTJs, everything also begins with introverted intuition, NI. But for them, it isn't just a hunch, it's an inner architecture. They don't simply notice patterns, they assemble them into a framework, a design that explains why things do or don't hold together. Picture an INTJ watching a project fall apart. Others blame deadlines, details, or missed steps. The INTJ cuts in. We're building on sand. A simple phrase, yet suddenly everyone sees the instability they had been ignoring. Next comes extroverted thinking, TE, their tool for execution. They don't leave visions in the abstract. They translate them into steps, plans, and systems. So when an INTJ opens up, it may sound less like emotional vulnerability and more like clarity, how to move forward, how to fix what's broken. But underneath that layer lies introverted feeling, FI, the quiet core where their values live. This is where their true vulnerability hides. When INTJs share from this place, it isn't dressed up or dramatized. It comes in a sentence or two, plain, unadorned, but sharp with truth. Like the moment they admit, that mattered to me. I didn't show it, but it did. And in that simple statement, they've just revealed more than hours of conversation ever could. And finally, there is extroverted sensing, SE, their most destabilizing function. The raw immediacy of the present can pull them off balance, overwhelm their need for order. That's why INTJs rarely open up in chaotic environments. They need the ground to feel steady before they can take that leap. So, what really happens when INFJs and INTJs open up? In relationships, trust deepens. The listener doesn't just feel included, they feel chosen, entrusted with something rare. In work, their words shift the direction. Conflict dissolves. Vision emerges. And within themselves, opening up changes them too. They stop being only observers or strategists. They become participants, present, alive. If you're an INFJ or INTJ, you may know this moment. That time you spoke, and the room changed. For INFJs and INTJs, opening up is never trivial. It's rare, costly, transformative. And every time it happens, it changes something. It changes the one who listens, and it changes them too. So let me ask you, if you're an INFJ or INTJ, when was the last time you truly opened up? And what changed? Share your story in the comments. You never know who might need to hear it. And don't miss the next episode, INTJ versus ENTJ. Emotional armor, how they hide their vulnerability. Two of the sharpest minds. But what happens when their strength becomes their shield? Thanks for watching. See you on the next video.